Right, good evening or good afternoon to those of you joining us today, depending on where you do the time of day being in these interesting times. I am Bill Watson Canning. I'm the president of University Consultants of America, and I would like to welcome you today to our webinar, the second in our series designed for all of us who are currently stuck at home, which includes me. You are seeing my home office here, and I'm going to shrink myself on the screen here in a second so I can put up something other than my face here. All right, so what we are talking about today is extracurricular activities outside of school. Basically what I want to do here is help you understand better how and why top universities evaluate your extracurriculars. And then after that, talk about some of the ways you can adjust given that everything that is going on in the world right now is disrupted. So we all sort of fully understand that some of the things you might have been planning on doing in April of 2020 are not currently happening, but there are still some strategies you can pursue. This is the only job I've ever had where you sort of do put your college degree on the introduction there. I did attend Princeton. One of the things I do think about a lot, because you have to in this job, is what is it that helped me get in at that school back in the day? And certainly I had, you know, the grades and the test scores and what have you. But I was very involved in the theater as a high school student, and I went very, very deeply into that, won some kind of major awards for writing, and sort of really helped my application pop out as I understand it. And that's kind of stuff I want to talk about here. So if you were with us last week or have been to any other UCA events, you might have seen us talk about the holistic application process. That there are schools that just care about your test scores and numbers, and there always will be, but that generally speaking, what the top schools do, and not necessarily even just the most famous name brand schools, but what selective private universities or smaller public ones are able to do, is use a holistic process to evaluating students applying to their universities along three areas: academics, extracurriculars, and personal qualities. And the focus today is, of course, on extracurriculars. What you'll see here is, this is from the Harvard form that Bob put up in last week's webinar. There were about 5 different terms that Harvard uses to describe the stuff you do when you are not required to sit in a classroom. And you'll see right at the top there, when they're evaluating you, they're asking you if you have state, national, or international recognition. So if you are somebody who has truly unusual achievements, Harvard's going to be kind of impressed. The low number is good in this particular one. And they evaluate you sort of all the way down to people who have little to no activity, with of course an exception if you have exceptional circumstances. It's not just Harvard. Dartmouth does it, Vanderbilt does it, everybody does it. They all are going to look at your extracurriculars. The idea here is that if you are doing something voluntarily, and I don't just mean volunteer work, I mean that you are doing something not because you have to, not because your state government has told you you have to sit in a classroom, or these days sit virtually in a classroom for 6 or 7 hours a day, but that you've chosen to pursue some things, and you pursue those things with some sort of depth, that might actually translate to the kind of depth you might go into in your future endeavors, that you might be able to apply yourself in a deep way. So what I have up here now is a screenshot from the Common Application. Most of the schools that people apply to when the fall comes of senior year, you will be applying to through the Common Application. There are some exceptions. If you're applying to University of California schools, there are some schools that use their own proprietary application. There's a coalition, but generally speaking, the Common Application is the most common one, the one that you'll be using the most. The other applications have similar interfaces. I'm just pulling one up here. The way that the common application works is there is a part of that application that goes to all schools. So if you see here on the left, you'll fill out some profile information, your name, that kind of thing, information about your family, education, the kind of stuff that's going to be the same for every school you apply to. You're telling them that your parents have the same name and job at every school, I assume. And that holds true as well here for activities. Your activities list is going to go to all the schools you apply to. It is essentially the first thing you will notice that schools get to evaluate that is at least showing some of your personality. And what I mean by that is most of us aren't expressing much of our personality through our address, through what our parents do for a living, through our test score on the SAT or ACT. But we are expressing our personality through what we've chosen to do and how we describe what we do. So the very first thing that the person reading your application will see after getting through all the objective information, so they're going to sort of see your test score and say, okay, test score is good enough to be in the conversation at the school, presumably. Now let's see what this person is into. And another thing you'll notice is there are examples here of activities: arts or music, clubs, community engagement, family responsibilities. Really, anything you are doing outside of a classroom, outside of the state telling you you have to be in a classroom, anything you are pursuing can count as an activity. It does not have to be a formal organization. Certainly, formal activities that you pursue that have, an official sports team or something, of course, you're going to want to put those down. But it can also be stuff that you are doing completely on your own. Family responsibilities, hobbies, that kind of thing is certainly something you can put in the activities list. Now, the other thing to say about the activities list is you don't really get that much space. I know sometimes I've heard concern from high school students that they need to have lots and lots of activities that they're doing. Well, ultimately, you only get to report 10 of them on the Common Application. And when you report them, you don't even get that much space to do so. The interface doesn't look exactly like this because I wanted to sort of get one long thing on a single slide. But what you're going to do when you're choosing your activities, you're going to tell them what type of activity you were involved in. So this is how I might have reported it if the Common Application existed several decades ago when I was applying to school. You will describe the position that you held in the organization and the name of the organization if one exists. Obviously, I said, if you're pursuing something that's not a formal organization, it's essentially just the headline on what you do. And then you get a grand total of 150 characters, which is about as long as tweets used to be on Twitter. You get 150 characters to describe everything you did in that activity. Now, you have a few other things. You're going to tell them which grades you participated in the activity. You're going to tell them, if the activity was something that you did, just during the school year, year-round, just during the summer, roughly how many hours you spent a week, and what have you. And, of course, whether or not you intend to participate in a similar activity in college. If you can find a good reason to report no on that, I would like to hear it. Because if you're not going to pursue something similar, I'm not sure why you would be telling the school that it's something that interests you. And that does apply even if you're not going to formally continue an activity. If you've been on the volleyball team, but you're not being recruited for volleyball, you might still hit a ball over a net with some friends now and again while you're in college. Like I say, 10 activities that you get to list. There's certainly an art to it. You may want to split an activity into multiple parts, so you're able to sort of talk about different things you've done there. That's fine. If you are, if you play a sport, you play a club sport, and you also play on your school team, as you would have to, you might report that as two separate things. There's, of course, an art to figuring out what you want to lead with. If you are somebody who is, involved in athletics and in volunteer work, If you lead with volunteer work, that's sending one kind of message. And if you're leading with your status on the basketball team, that's sending another kind of message. Are you community minded? Are you an athlete? Depends what kind of story you want to tell. But really, you just sort of get a limited amount of space on that application to describe your impact. And let's talk about then what matters for an activity. First of all, time. How much time you've spent doing an activity. If you have been playing the violin for 10 years, that is considerably more impressive than if you picked it up 2 weeks ago. This is probably why your school guidance counselor has told you, don't join a bunch of activities in 12th grade and think it's going to impress anybody. And that's absolutely true. The more time you've devoted to an activity, the better. And while you're only telling them about 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, you can still sort of mention, hey, I played the violin for 10 years in your description. The level of achievement, of course. It is more impressive if you've been recognized in some way for the activity than if you just sort of showed up and participated again and again. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a leadership position, although leadership positions are nice. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an award you won, although awards are nice as well. But you do want to sort of show, okay, if this is an activity that matters to me, I have done something that indicates a level of achievement. I mentioned having won some theater awards. If you're on a team sport that went to a state championship, that's going to be more impressive than, I would say, my high school football team, which I believe won 1 game in 4 years. So achievement is the second area that you're evaluated on, and there are 4 total. And I'll put this back up again later. The impact that you made. Sort of the scope of that impact as well. Are you competing on a global scale? Because some people are. Or are you just sort of known within your school? You're just known within a couple of friends. So sort of the arena in which you compete. And I don't mean compete just for sports, but you know, it sort of makes a difference. And the last one is, you know, originality. Now, not everything we all do has to be completely original, but I remember having a conversation once with somebody who was wondering why a friend, you know, hadn't necessarily achieved, because after all, he, as well as he had hoped, because after all, he was president of the student council. So we said, well, you know, the other high schools that have president of the student council is all of them. So it's great to be president of the student council if that's your thing and that's your activity. But what have you done in that role that is different, that is original? That shows achievement, that makes an impact, but that is also different, is the kind of thing where the person reading that application is going to say, oh, I remember that person. They're the one who built a robot that, I'm making this up on the fly, so, you know, whatever it is that you've done, that is something that they have not seen and will not be seeing, you know, several hundred times. Now, not every single activity has to be off the charts in all of this. Nobody has that kind of resume, this is especially not in high school. But certainly I would expect that the things that you're putting at the top are going to be the ones that check the most of these boxes. And then when you get down to the 7th, 8th, 9th activity on your list, if it's, you know, that you regularly attended a yoga class, that's fine. Now, lest you think, what kind of impact can I make as a teenager? Let me remind you that there are teenagers who you know, make the cover of major national magazines, who compete in the Olympics, or at least will be competing in the Olympics in 2021 at this point, who do star in TV shows. People like this apply to colleges too, to top colleges. They are part of your competition. So it is not just who is at your local high school. And no, not, you know, there are not thousands of teenagers starring in Netflix series or being named Person of the Year. But there's nothing that says, there's no law that says a teenager cannot achieve this sort of level. But I also recognize what's going on. It is the spring of 2020. I'm impressed that my dogs have not barked yet, but I'm confined to the house. Most of you, I'm hoping, are more or less confined to the house. It's awfully hard to play on your soccer team right now or get your orchestra together. Pretty sure there are more than 10 people in that orchestra picture there on the right. And I am fully cognizant there are certain activities that you are just not going to be able to do right now. And that is fine. Not only am I aware of that, I promise you that admissions officers are aware of it. Now, most admissions offices are focused right now on the current crop of 12th graders. They've made their offers and they're trying to recruit them. But it did not take me very long to find some universities reassuring those of you in the class of 2021 that yes, they're aware there's a global pandemic on, and they will be taking that into consideration when they evaluate your candidacy. So some of the things that you might have hoped to do this spring you can't do, they know they're going to be making accommodations. Now, at the same time, just because most of us can't do most of the things that we used to do doesn't mean that you can't do anything. There are, of course, all sorts of opportunities available to you, even from your house. I know a few schools have sort of sent out information about ways you can volunteer from your house on the internet. But this is potentially an opportunity for you. Now, your first priority, should certainly be your own health and the health of the people you love and are close to you. And I mean that as physical health and mental health. These are challenging times and you have to look after yourself first. Obviously, there go my dogs. I knew it was going to happen. But I would not be at all surprised if some schools start asking what you did during the spring of 2020 in years to come. There are schools that regularly ask about what you did with your summers. Princeton does it, Stanford does it, interviewers do it. It's sort of a nice way of finding out what's important to you. They may be asking, okay, well, what was the spring of 2020 like for you? Now, it's entirely possible that there's some teenager out there right now who's going to figure out some way to help deliver, affordable protective gear or ventilators or something where they need to be. And certainly don't want to stand in the way of anybody who's pursuing that kind of thing. But you don't need to necessarily be at that level. Look for ways to at least keep active in the things you've already been doing. If nothing else, reach out to the people who run your clubs at school. There may be things that you can still be doing as a team, even if they're not, as a group, team, whatever you're into, that are not necessarily the things you would normally be doing, but there's some way you can get together a fundraiser or some way that, look, if you play music, is there a way to get together by Zoom and keep practicing together? Most people will not be doing this, and that's fine, but why be like most people? If you want to show a little originality in this time, having something to say that you did during this time of massive disruption and crisis would not be a terrible thing on the resume. Again, after you've looked after, your own well-being and the well-being of the people close to you. I'm in the same boat as all of you. I do recognize that we all have to sort of manage our intake of the news these days and everything else. But again, if you are able to show any sort of impact, originality, achievement on the stuff that you've already spent time doing, that's only going to be to your advantage when the time comes to apply to universities. All right. Want to remind people that we are making this a weekly series just to keep people apprised of important information, or what we hope is important information. Hope that you find useful information. Whoops. So next week, we will be talking about the SAT. This is the kind of thing that is very much in flux right now. If you've been alert to any of the news, obviously test dates have been canceled. Right now, the June test date is still on, but I haven't been online now for 20 minutes, so maybe that's changed, I don't know. I don't expect it to be canceled quite yet. But we know the test dates are being disrupted. We know that schools out there, many schools have gone test optional. That said, it is still worth finding time if you don't have an SAT score under your belt yet, to go ahead and take that SAT. A good score is still going to help you. We're going to talk about some of that next week. A couple questions have come in, which we prefer to answer through the newsletter, also just to sort of filter through some of the stuff that's more specific. But I do thank you all for joining us here today, and wish you certainly good health and good sanity, and good luck as you navigate these times, and I hope that you're able to keep up with the stuff that is important to you in those activities. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this screen up here for a moment or two. Occasionally people come to this sort of webinar and aren't signed up to be alerted for the newsletter or upcoming stuff. So please, if you're not already on the newsletter list for this series, go ahead and sign up for it. And of course, any questions that you're not able to get in through the interface here, go ahead and email them to us. We're always eager to hear from you. So thank you all for attending, and have a wonderful evening.